play the audio on this. It's a good one.
No.
Can't argue this.
Like, tell me what the fuck.
I mean, again,
Okay,
this is another example of just arguing in bad faith. If you can't even concede that men in general prefer
Some
women,
men.
a majority of men.
No.
Holy shit.
If that was the case, that would be shown in the stats,
A
and it's not.
majority of men prefer women to have less sexual partners.
Majority of your viewers.
Majority of men.
No.
And it's been this way since the beginning of time. Why does a woman walk?
Did Thor care about this? Did the Vikings care about this? The ancient Egyptians care about it? What do you mean the beginning of time?
Yes.
It's such a bizarre statement. Scientists don't talk like this.
Virgins.
Yeah, but he just said since the beginning of time. I'm saying there's plenty of like Thor didn't give a fuck about your virginity.
Who's Thor?
The Viking god, the Viking king, like the Viking Odin, Thor. Do you guys only think
It's like
there's
mythology.
only? It's not mythology. It's the old gods. You guys talk about since the beginning of time, but you don't know the Vikings were here in the since the beginning of time.
Look, whether it's Islam, Christianity, etc.
These are newer religions. You said the beginning of time, did you not? So can you rephrase it?
Look, in the civilized world, since the beginning of civilized time.
Okay. At least I moved you a little bit.
Right? Men have preferred women that had lower body counts and women that were virgins. There's a reason why a girl would walk down the aisle in a white dress across different cultures. Why? Because it symbolizes chastity and purity. Men have a very strong interest in a woman's chastity. Okay. Now, with that said, they don't.
In 2023, it's becoming less and less the case. Like I said, we're evolving. Times are changing.
Just because it's becoming less and less the case does not mean that men still don't prefer it.
I would say the majority have now shifted, right? Because majority of men are. I'm sorry, the majority of men are not like, oh, I want a virgin. I'm sorry, this is just not true. I don't think it's true.
If they
and
could
it's not,
get it,
it's not established.
they would still prefer if they can get it.
It's not established through the data.
Okay,
no.
and
they don't want someone with experience. What about throat go? Like you want the virgin, or you want
No, you're right.
Seriously,
for a fun time, awesome. But for wifey, nah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like ladies, I know that this might, you guys, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but like you do realize that when men meet you, they put you in one of two categories: fun only or commitment.
Yeah.
Fun only or commitment. So you're trying to conflate the two and say a lot of lawyers would date me and blah blah blah, but that does not mean that they would take you seriously and get down on one knee.
Well, we have no
way.
First of all, I don't like men who even want to like propose on one. Like I just don't like these kind of men.
Well, you want monogamy, right?
Maybe, yeah, but like
so that means would it give you monogamy? No.
Yeah, they would. I promise you, they would. Now this is now unfalsifiable, right? So there's no point in because you guys are gonna say, oh, I'm gonna say yeah, it's gonna be it's gonna be battle of anecdotes. I probably say I'm more qualified here because I know more lawyers, but okay.
Yeah, but you're using you're basically saying, oh yeah, lawyers would date me, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying in general.
They wouldn't marry me, but how do you know? And I don't know and you don't know because I haven't been proposed to, actually.
Because men have a very serious stake in a woman's background and
are you fresh or fit? Can I explain something to you? So when you use this thing of like, I'm single, what you have to do is you have to isolate the variable and look at people who are married and look at people who get, and you have to isolate and see that this is going to be more likely. So for instance, a lot of the things you guys say may increase your likelihood of divorce. Age gaps increase your likelihood of divorce by a lot. If you guys have a 10-year age gap, that increases your likelihood of divorce by 40%. Yeah, you guys always talk about liking younger women, not being college educated. A woman between 25 and 32 is less likely to divorce.
We never said don't be college educated. We just said it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but it does, especially if you're looking at likelihood of divorce, and especially if you're looking at childhood outcomes.
It doesn't matter when it comes to like men being attracted. Like no one cares about a woman's or her background, her education.
To be physically attracted, yes, but to get married to, you'd be very smart. Not only just to care about that because of divorce outcomes, but because your childhood success and childhood cognitive development is highly.
You're moving the goalposts. All I'm simply saying is that men in general do not want women that either are promiscuous or create an aura of promiscuity as their main girl.
Some men.
You want to ask the chat?
No, your chat is like, this is not, do you think this is a scientific, like actual
It's not study? About that, but it's a very...
Do you think there's a selection bias here? Do you think there's a selection bias?
You got 20,000 men in here from different parts of the world. Yeah. You're really trying to sit here and argue with me that men don't prefer women that have lower body counts.
Like I said, I asked every single person I know about this show, and people thought that you guys told about vegetables. No men that I know have heard of this. Now I have a selection.
Do you think men are going? Hold on, bro. Use a little bit of common sense. Do you think men are actually going to be honest and tell you that they prefer a woman that isn't involved in sex work? That isn't.
I didn't say they prefer.
No. Yeah. Hold on. Do you really think that they're going to sit there and be honest and say, I prefer a woman that isn't on OnlyFans, isn't promiscuous, blah, blah, blah. You really think they're going to tell you that? I'm
not talking about men. And look, like I said, a year ago, I didn't have any of this. I didn't even have an Instagram. And they wouldn't even tell me then. I think like a couple years ago, I was exactly this very nice low body count. I might have been too educated for your liking. That may have been an impediment. And my prefrontal cortex might have been a bit too developed because I was 26 and not like 18. But at the same time, what I'm trying to say is that there are men who just don't care. Like they're trying to fuck you.
Yeah, bro.
I mean, now it's an unfalsifiable claim, so there's no point in arguing on something unfalsifiable.
Like, I mean, you can't even concede on certain points, such as like men prefer women that don't have a promiscuous
some men.
past.
I said some men.
No, majority.
I don't think it's majority, and you have no evidence for that other than your anecdotes.
You are married.
That's not a lot of people because I'm not married.
Guys,
like I said, isolate the things that make people more likely to get married and not. Body count is not one of them, and I don't know. There's been no studies on.
No, because you're annoying.
That's okay. There we go. Great, riveting claim.
Yes. No, I mean, it's just.
Sorry,
I mean, if you can't even admit that men don't want women that are promiscuous, then I
said some men.
Majority don't.
Well, you're not.
And this has been across different religion, different different cultures.
Are you religious?
I'm not, but I'm telling you, I'm using it as an example.
Yes, but I'm not saying it's not been I just said I can give you many examples in beginning of time. Now, if you want to move it finally, because I've always been annoyed that you keep saying beginning of time because that's not true. But if you want to say however many years ago, pick your year. And now it's changing. It's not as virginity.
You're stepping over dollars to pick up quarters. You're missing the main points here.
What?
Men don't want hoes, period. And especially for long-term relationships.
And your claim is most. I'm saying some. That's where we disagree. And you have no evidence for most other than your common sense and your anecdotes.
They'd never be able to pull a study like this off and ask men this and without like, do you think that would actually get funded?
No, we know.
Do you think it would actually get funded if they said, all right, guys, we're going to do a poll. Tell us if you like hoes. You really think
they probably would do a thing like how much does sexual purity mean to you, and they would do ranking. They would probably do something like that. All I can tell you though is that the study we do have shows that body count doesn't affect likelihood of marriage. That's the only one we have.
Anything from anything.
Yeah.
Incredible.
If a man wants you, he wants you, no matter what your body count is.
Yeah, that's what, and the stats show that.
For sex only.
No, for marriage. That's what the stats show.
They put you in a category.
All right, so
then why does it not affect your likelihood of getting married? That's what the stats show. Look it up.
For marriages are down too.
What do you mean marriages?
like you're saying.
So you're saying these men just want to get married, but everyone has too high of a body count, so they're not.
For what? Because you're saying, oh, it doesn't affect your ability to get married. But what I'm saying is that the picture is way bigger than that. Marriages have been dropping off precipitously since feminism.
And I would say it's not that aspect of feminism.
And it's because I would. Well, that's
where we disagree.
That's one aspect. That's one aspect. But women are less marriageable than they were before.
And 1 in 5 women don't even want to get married. So
because
they just
don't
want. So okay, but that means
a majority still do.
So, but that's not.
A vast majority still do.
But the ones that do, that have a high body count, are just as likely. That's what I'm saying to get married as the ones that don't.
Yeah,
that's what the stats show.
They might not.
The panel is not science. You guys talk about science.
Are they going to get married to a man that they actually want though?
How do we? Well, all I'm saying that was okay. So now you're adding this. That wasn't in the study. So if Myron says it, maybe now it's science. But you guys talk about science and logic. There are rules to science and there are rules to logic. If you want to say shit, that's fine. But when you're talking about logic and science, then we have to talk about logic and science. If you're saying claims that are unfalsifiable, well, they're just lying. Everyone's lying. The study's not funded. Okay, fine. Then I have nothing.
It's not about that because you're saying there's no data on this. But I'm saying, okay, well, realistically speaking, are they going to be able to run a study like that?
No. That's not how people with critical thinking skills.
This is misogynistic. They would never allow it.
That's not how critical thinking skills work. So you're saying the study couldn't happen, so that's why. So now we just go with what you think versus what I think. Then it just becomes battle of the anecdotes. And
I mean, you can't even agree.
Then it's just feminine.
You don't even agree on common sense that a majority of men would prefer to not be with a woman who's promiscuous. No, you can't even concede on a simple fact like that.
Is that an axiomatic fact? That's an axiomatic fact.
If I lined up 100 men from different groups at different parts of the world, different racial demographics,
different parts of the world. Yes. Okay. All right, I'll give you that.
Talking about.
No, but in the West, I live in the West and I live in the United States, so I wasn't talking about Zimbabwe, but okay.
Okay. Again, speaking from a holistic, worldly standpoint.
I'm not.
There's a reason why I said since the beginning of time, and I reference different religions and cultures. Obviously, I'm speaking on a worldly.
But it's not beginning
here.
Of time.
Okay?
The Vikings didn't care. The ancient Egyptians didn't care.
Stop stepping over dollars to pick up quarters. The point I'm trying to bring here is that if I line up 100 men from different religions, different backgrounds, different racial, different ages, different socioeconomic status, etc., and I asked them, would you prefer a woman that was more promiscuous or a girl that's less promiscuous? Almost all of them are going to say less.
Worldwide, majority, yes. I would give you that. Yeah. What are you mad about? I just said, yeah. If you're talking about worldwide, what would you like me to say, Myra?
All right, we can move on because you're not making no sense now.
I feel like I just conceded the point you wanted me to concede.
Yeah,
okay. If I have to be, I thought you'd be able to, Jesus.
I just said, yeah. If you look at the worldwide, the majority of men, if you lined up the majority of
that's
men.
implied. If I'm talking about different religions, cultures, beginning of time, etc., like clearly I'm not just talking about the United States or the Western world. I'm talking about everybody.
Well, okay, then that was my mistake. That was my mistake because
for 30 minutes.
that was my mistake because I was thinking that we're talking about men like we're on a show in English. In the Western world, I don't think.
And I even mentioned there's a bunch of clues that I was obviously referring to the entire world. I even said here we got people from different countries. We can do a poll because we got people.
Everyone's
from
talking in English. I haven't seen any Arabic. I haven't seen anybody.
That doesn't change the fact that they might be from a different country.
Okay, obviously. Okay, so we're talking about English-speaking people now, because then I might change my mind.
Do you think a guy rather have you as his first or his 50th? Like,
What?
Do you think a guy rather be with you that you're his first or that guy's your 50th? Like,
do I think a guy rather be with me if I'm his first or his 50th? I think he'd rather be with me either way.
No.
Like,
if you're the 50th person he's been with,
Actually,
you've been
you were
with,
right.
be with the
For
guy
one night
either.
or forever. But yeah, let's move on.